As a young woman, Dona Trowbridge doubted that she would ever marry or even be a mother. God had other plans, rather big ones. Dona married Richard Trowbridge in 1950, and since then, she's been the mother to more than 100 children, 5 of their own, 2 adopted daughters, and 110 foster children. The Trowbridge family grew up on a dairy farm near Page, where Diane, David, Dan, Dirk, and Dwight stayed busy playing outside. As a new mother, Dona was determined to give her children a better life than she had, not through more toys or possessions, but through a family built on love and compassion. I just told myself from day one, Dona said, that our family would not be like mine. That was my goal. Linda Tummins, a longtime friend of hers, marveled and still does at Dona's parenting. I'm still amazed at how she could feed a table full of kids, change diapers, arbitrate a dispute, and make everybody feel loved at the same time. Dona knows when kids should try to do things themselves, Linda said. I don't know how she knows it, but she just does. Dona knows how. The good Lord gave me that, she told me. Dona's son Dirk of Spearfish, South Dakota, also praises his mother. I would not be the person I am today, he said, without my mom. She is a great role model. When Dona and Richard's last child left home, the house was quiet, perhaps too quiet. We had just one daughter, and we always wanted another little girl, Dona told me. I showed an article about foster parenting to my husband, and he said yes. Dona's little girl didn't come right away. In fact, her first foster child was a 17-year-old boy back in 1979. When my mom would receive a new foster child, Dirk said, she would open her heart as if that child was her own. It takes a very special person to do that. After 11 years of foster parenting, not one, but 2 little girls came to the Trowbridges, 4-month-old Amelia and 4-year-old Amber. After several years, the state said that they could be adopted. The girls had been calling us Grandpa and Grandma, but when we knew we could adopt them, I told them, you can call us Mom and Dad now, and they clung to that. Richard and Dona cared for dozens of foster children through Richard's death in 2006. After that, Dona tried to foster parent alone, but after a while, she felt that season was ending and a new season of her life was beginning. This season includes 12 grandchildren, 14 great-grands, and she's continuing a lifelong interest of hers, upholstery work. It is extraordinary to parent so many foster children, but Dona would stress to you that of all the hours put into foster parenting, most of them were doing ordinary tasks like cooking and the laundry. The extraordinary part was that Richard and Dona opened their home and that they intertwined their love with the love of Christ into the lives of so many hurting children. Those children continue to trickle back into Dona's life through letters, visits, and calls. Dona, would you come up and join me and share a couple stories about how your life has crossed paths with these children? For instance, this one right here.
That was the first. We got him in 79, and in 1984, he come back for Thanksgiving and spent Thanksgiving with us in Page with Grandma and Grandpa Trowbridge and my family.
Okay. And one time, you got a really unusual phone call from a very unusual place.
This was a boy we had in 79 also, and this was several years later. I got a phone call from him, and he was in jail, and I knew that he wanted us to get him out of jail, and I said something to him, and he says, no, we all get one phone call, and I wanted to talk to you. And so we had a little visit. Growing up, it was unreal. I still have get goosebumps when I talk about that.
And Pat mentioned before that we've had such winds, and that did some damage to your roof, right?
Yeah, the wind took off part of the shingles on my house, and we had to get it covered up because of the weather. We didn't want it to come down through the house. And I called the lumberyard, and he said, I'll call back. I have a couple of guys that I think maybe can come down and fix it. And he called me back and told me who was coming, and I thought when he said that, uh-oh, here's another foster kid. And when he come to my door, I said, do you remember me? And he says, well, you look familiar. And I says, and then he looked around at the buildings, and he says, oh, yes. He says, I remember. And he told me all about being there with us. And when he got ready to go, he come back in the house and to give me the bill. And he chatted with me for a little bit and gave me this great big old huge smile and give me a hug. And we said goodbye, and he left. And that was a thrill to see how much he'd grown and what a good life he had and everything. I was really happy with him, and I told him so.
Well, Dona, thank you so much for opening the doors of your house and your heart to all those children. Thank you.
Thank you.